Welcome to Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia, where we bring women voices and stories to the mic. And we are everything her, helping to elevate and redefine our sister friend tribe. Please be sure to stay connected with me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and listen. I just set up a TikTok page, and the handle is Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia. So today we have two guests with us. We have Melissa Courts and we have Danielle Blackshear. But before we get started with our guests and before we typically do an affirmation, Melissa and Danielle, right? But because we are talking about breastfeeding month, I want to share our breastfeeding tips with our audience and ask our audience to start using the breastfeeding tips that Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia came up with, right? So everybody grab pen and paper and make sure you take note of these 5 tips. August is Breastfeeding Awareness Month, right? And so the 5 tips that we have for you to support moms that you may know, moms to be, number 1, especially if they want to breastfeed. Number 1 is be kind and help mothers feel confident and comfortable breastfeeding in public. Number 2, help provide education to your friends and your family on the benefits of breastfeeding. Number 3, join educational breastfeeding classes with a mother that you may know. Number 4, to all of my business owners, if you have a business, create a safe space and colorful space, colorful space for breastfeeding moms to feel safe so they can breastfeed their children. And number 5, say got milk as a confirmation for your affirmation that you are going to give to a mom, right? So she can feel beautiful as she pops out her boob and do the natural thing that God has called her to do and feeding her child. So those are the 5 tips that we want you to use as you help us support this space in Breastfeeding Awareness Month and continue to support Breastfeeding Month, okay? So we are going to kick it off with Melissa, who is a lactation consultant. She has also previously breastfed all of her children, and she's going to share with us the importance of the month of August, why we even have breastfeeding month, right? And then we're going to jump into Black Breastfeeding Week. And then we're going to jump into some events. So Melissa, I'm going to kick it off to you. Can you tell us the purpose of Breastfeeding Awareness Month?
Well, when we talk about breastfeeding awareness month, it's like, what does that really mean? Obviously, we're bringing awareness to breastfeeding, and there's so many different aspects of that. And as I was this browsing the internet this morning, I was looking at some different definitions that people um, put on the web about breastfeeding awareness, and there was a few that stood out to me that I'll mention briefly. Um, it's an opportunity to raise awareness and reduce inequalities among lactating people. Also, is to highlight the importance of breastfeeding and the impact it has on nutrition, food security, and poverty reduction, as well as survival and the well being of you and your baby. And the other one is, grab that, even working to protect, promote, and support lactation practices and policies. And I thought I had one more, but I guess that was it. And basically also making sure to support mothers along their breastfeeding journey, but also education is such a big piece. It's such a big piece, and it's so important that we understand just the importance of breastfeeding. Um, just making people aware of how important it is to support mothers as a community. And when I say community, we're talking family members, we're talking, as you said, business owners, even churches, churches included, um, grocery stores, the mall, even going to the pool. Some moms have even gotten, you know, um, backlash just nursing at the pool. And this is really important for us to know what the nursing as a mother, what our nursing rights are, but also those of us that come in contact with breastfeeding mothers, which can happen at any given time, that we understand what the nursing mother's rights are um, as she breastfeeds her baby wherever she chooses to breastfeed. We are actually able to breastfeed wherever we're allowed to be. Um, and what I was thinking about also is when we talk about breastfeeding awareness, breastfeeding it's been, although it is a feeding option, it is still the normal, or technically it's a feeding option, but it's still the normal way to feed our babies. It's a
Mm-hmm.
natural way to feed our babies. And one of my colleagues, when she would talk about this, when she would talk about breastfeeding versus formula feeding, breastfeeding being normal and natural, and formula feeding being more of increasing the risk of SIDS, increasing the risk of childhood obesity, increasing the risk of childhood illnesses that that babies and kids acquire. Um, just different things that it increases the risk of, and breastfeeding being natural normal and quite naturally, because it offers so many advantages to our babies, especially when it comes to their health, and not just their physical health but their mental health, their emotional health. Is obviously going to and or decrease the risk of a whole lot of the things that the formula increases the risk of. um, so that basically that's what breastfeeding awareness month is about. Just making sure that we keep those things in mind. um, we do realize that some people or mothers, they may not be able to breastfeed, and they may have to explore other options. Things come about like health issues. Sometimes there's things that affect the hormones, that affects the mother's ability to produce enough milk. Even breast anatomy issues may come to play when it comes to that. Even medications that the mothers are taking for a health issue may cause issues for the baby in a breastfeed relationship. So those are some other aspects of it as well. But just in general, if a mother, if she has the ability to breastfeed, when she becomes pregnant, or even as she goes along, even if she breast or didn't breastfeed a child, but then she has another child and she's on the field, on the fence about it. Always encouraging breastfeeding. Just try it out. You won't know until you try it out.
So let me ask you this: do we know how long breastfeeding, um, celebrating in the month of August, has been around?
Yes, I actually looked that up, and the USBC, and that's the United States Breastfeeding Committee. I can't talk committee. Excuse me. They declared it National Breastfeeding Month in 2011. As a matter of fact, August the 6th, 2011. So it's been quite a while now. I mean, it's 13 years in.
So can I be honest? I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of figure it's been around for a while, and I'm just now hearing about it like this year. Like I'm like, I did not know breastfeeding month was a thing until literally 2024. And so because I was unaware of about breastfeeding month, I'm trying to put in my mind like how many other people are unaware about breastfeeding month, and this is the month that we take to provide education to support families, babies, lactation specialists, and everybody else that's in this field, right?
Mhm.
So each do they have like themes for each year?
Yes,
Or
there's a year for breastfeeding awareness month. Um, and something else I was gonna mention about that. I can. It's. Oh my gosh, I don't know what the theme is.
that's
With it,
okay. Take time to look it up.
but
Take time take time to look up the theme.
but yeah, there's a theme each year. Or at least for World Breastfeeding Week it is. Um, but no matter whether theme or not, it's just so important that we know that there is a breastfeeding awareness month, and I can bet you there's so many other people that don't know about breastfeeding awareness month. For me, I learned about it because I worked at WIC, as a lactation professional.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You wouldn't know unless you kind of in that field or in that space, you know? And I don't even know how I came across. I was reading something. I was like, black. breastfeeding month, because I knew August. I'm in the hair field, right? And August is actually it's hair month, so you celebrate it for people who has alopecia and stuff like that. So I knew that. So breastfeeding month was definitely new to me. And so I want to make sure I put a plug in real quick. If you are joining us, Facebook, YouTube, if you're on Instagram, you have to go to the YouTube page. If you want to drop in questions, make comments, but we welcome all questions as we are talking about breastfeeding awareness month and bringing awareness. If you are a breastfeeding mama, put your hand up, put an emoji up, and let us know that you are chiming in with us today. So Melissa, let's jump into, and Danielle, do you have anything to add before we jump into something else? Do you have anything you want to add to breastfeeding awareness month?
I think she covered it. I was over here, shaking my head the whole time. It's so important. It's so it should be normalized, all of that. But I think Melissa covered the gist of it.
Okay. So thank you for that. So let's jump into, we have breastfeeding awareness month, right? So that nationally, that covers everybody who wants to breastfeed. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing of why we here as it relates to normalizing breastfeeding in the Black community. Because within breastfeeding month, there is a thing called Black Breastfeeding Week. So can you give us some information about that, the dates, why we have Black Breastfeeding Week, and then yeah, give us some information about that.
So Black Breastfeeding Week, it was developed in response. Well, actually, let me go back. The dates that we honored or celebrated um, is August the 25th through the 31st. And so people tend to do different things during that week, usually on the weekends to celebrate Black Breastfeeding Week. And it was just developed in just response to the high infant mortality rates in Black babies, just a lack of diversity in the field, which I'll talk about here in a second. And we have unique cultural barriers that that plays into that too. And just the fact that we had the lowest breastfeeding rates. I was checking, like just um, up to date what our rates are, and as far as like the comparison. And according to the CDC, as of 2023, 74.5% of Black mothers breastfeed compared to 94% of Japanese mothers. So almost all Japanese mothers breastfeed their babies. Um, there's a 16.7 difference between Asian mothers who have the highest breastfeeding initiation rate, um, Hispanic 83.4, and white mothers 86.2. And this has been, I've been in the field for 20 years and we have stayed below everyone else for 20 years now. I mean, at least that I know of. I'm sure it's before then, of course, but 20 years that I've been in this field, it's been that way. Um, and the issue with that is, breastfeeding definitely is healthy. It's healthy for our babies. It gives us our babies the things that they need, just across the board. There's so many things in our breast milk. And overall, like this, I mean, the infant mortality rate, is, that correlation there. Is there a correlation there that because we don't breastfeed our babies as 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 um as much as you see the other races, is that why we have a higher infant mortality rate?
Hmm.
Ohio, 14.2 mortality rate for Black infants, over a 5.4 mortality rate for white infants. And that was as of 2021. Also, let me see, it's interesting to mention that our babies are 2.6 times more likely to pass away. And
Is that from like from birth?
it's just preterm labor, just this socioeconomic factors, just different things, and the main thing I believe is because our babies are not breastfed, they're just not as healthy because they're not breastfed, you
Well, let
know.
me ask you this because I didn't look this up, so I don't know the answer to this question. Black Breastfeeding Week, is that in Ohio or is that also nationally known as well within Breastfeeding Month
It is across
across the board?
like Black Breastfeeding Mothers Association in Michigan. They're the ones that it started originated down in Michigan. I want to say Kimberly Ourselves, like she was like the major person that influenced that, and then they really helped to expand that down there in Michigan. And it just and so it has just spread it, and
So it's national as well.
it's at least across the United States.
Okay. Okay.
United I mean, that's as far as I know, at least across the United States. And I just think of, when I this breastfeeding, my babies, I have six, and just being at the hospital and thinking about the lack of diversity in the field. Just remember being a mother, and I never got helped by an African American lactation professional, like not out of all six of them. Never got any, I never saw one. Now my daughter, she's had her kids, and she did see an African American lactation consultant at the hospital, but I never saw that. Going to the conferences and the different things I'm involved in, I'm always a minority, So I look around, and it's like it's like a handful of us. I've been in a room where it's been maybe three or four of us in the field, and I'm not for sure, why the lack of diversity in the field. Besides the fact that we also have a lack of diversity when it comes to nurses and people, even doctors too. And I do know when it comes to acquiring your IBCLC, which is the certification, there it's kind of challenging to get all the requirements that you need to get, and just being like a mother that wants to become an IBCLC, someone that's not in the hospital working, just because the things that require. If you're a professional in the hospital, it's a lot easier to acquire that certification or the requirements to sit the exam. And so to me, it's like it seems like a lack of diversity in the field itself, more than likely correlates to that as well. You don't have, there's like across the board, there's a lack of diversity, and we're the minority when it comes to all of that. The doctors, the nurses, and other people in healthcare professional fields.
So the statistic, they almost kind of make sense as it relates to how we have a low rate of Black moms breastfeeding in our communities, and then because it's not represented in the field as well, right? So I think the statistics make sense. But we have work to do. We have work to do as it relates to normalizing it, making women feel comfortable, educating, not just our women, but our men as well, right?
Yeah.
But before we get into events and more information, I want to take the opportunity to celebrate a Black breastfeeding mama here on the podcast. And I want to welcome Danielle Blackshear. Hey girl, hey. So just really quick, I just want to say, Danielle is a phenomenal mama of two boys with a baby girl on the way, and she is a wife. She's a servant leader, giving heart, and she is full of compassion. And let me tell y'all something. I'm going to put the plug in right now because she's one of the baddest singers I know, right? In her own right, she is her own voice. But if I had to explain her and describe her to somebody, I would say Patti LaBelle and Whitney Houston wrapped up in one, right?
Thank you.
So Danielle, welcome to Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia. Can you tell us, you have two boys and one on the way. Did you breastfeed both of your boys?
Yeah, so I breastfed both boys for 2 years apiece. I just weaned my two almost 3-year-old about 6 or 7 months ago. And it was really
what does that look like? Weaning them off the boob. How does that go?
It's a challenging process. I'm sure Melissa can relate. Sometimes you just get to a point where you're just like, I'm over it. I'm all touched out for the rest of my life. And I just don't feel like doing this anymore. Usually their diet changes can play a big factor in it as well when they're to a point where, they're getting most of their nutrition during the day from other food sources. And so that's typically when I decide to kind of make that cut. It's a process. I don't promote just cold turkey weaning your babies. Some women it works for them, but for me, I did it over a period of time. So just gradually telling him no, gradually offering him other foods and things like that, which eventually he got used to it. And so, the blow wasn't so hard when it was time to just say no for that last time.
So you have breastfed both of your boys. You have one on the way.
Yep.
What was breastfeeding normal in your family? What was your why? What made you breastfeed? Was it normal in your family?
It was
growing
not
up?
actually. I'm the first woman that I know of in my family to breastfeed. My mom, me and my 3 siblings were all formula fed. For me, it was just, I really, really wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to be a good mom. And so I did a ton of research prior to having my first son into breastfeeding and the importance of it. And I think the thing that really got me was when I learned that Black infant boys are at the highest, have the highest chances of passing away from SIDS than any other race or gender. And so when I learned that, I was like, that was kind of like okay, I'm absolutely doing this. Like, no matter what, I'm going to try everything that I can to make sure he's breastfed. Because as a mom, especially a first time mom, you have so much anxiety around, losing your baby, like Melissa said, infant mortality in our community, disparities in just Black healthcare in general are so common. And so because of that, it's really scary as a Black mom, just having a Black child in general. And so I just wanted to kind of do everything that I could to make sure that I was keeping my baby safe and healthy and, trying to avoid all of that, at all costs. So
what was your support system like when you breastfeeding? Did you get a lot of pushback, negative pushback, or did you have a support system in doing this thing?
My husband was really supportive of it. It was a process we were both learning, especially with my first son, but he knew how adamant I was about breastfeeding. And so he just tried to do whatever he could to, help the process. It was a little bit different with my mom because, again, my mom she formula fed all of us. And so it was, there's this weird obsession in our community specifically, that's, where women want their babies to sleep through the night and, they give them formula with baby food and cereal, and they put it all in a bottle, and it's just like, let this baby sleep as long as they possibly can. And I'm just like, if you know anything about breastfeeding or, just infant health in general, it's not normal for your baby to sleep that long. And so there were some challenges in the beginning, just trying to explain that to my mom. So she would understand, like, him waking every 2 hours is normal. Him waking and in a lot of ways, back to the SIDS thing, it's kind of nature's way of preventing your baby from, passing from things like suffocation and SIDS and things like that, because you are waking so frequently with the baby. It gives you more opportunities to check on them. It gives you more opportunities to make sure just just check on their overall well-being. And so I think that outside of obviously the health benefits that come along with breastfeeding, that's something that's important to, kind of emphasize when you're advocating the cause.
So when you had your second child, I'm sure your husband was even more supportive, but what did it look like from your mom? Had your mom kind of got there just yet as relates to the support and understanding the importance about breastfeeding?
She acclimated. I mean, she was pretty supportive. Once she realized I think the beauty of the process and everything, even with my first son, she was kind of all for it. She's like, wow.
Okay.
She respected the commitment that it takes to even be a breastfeeding mother. And so it didn't take too much. But there were a few times where she's just like, oh, maybe you should try this, or, maybe put some cereal in his milk. And I'm like, I'm not putting no cereal in my breast milk, crazy. Like, just little stuff like that. And it might seem uncommon, to think about that, but yeah, she came around pretty quickly.
So tell me this, because as you are a mom, what does it look like with like your sister friends and your sister friend moms who also have children? Do they breastfeed? Is it common? Are you the only one within your circle that breastfeeds?
I would say so. I think out of all my friend group, I have a small friend group. Um, I've acquired, breastfeeding mama friends over time just because we're a community, but in my circle, I was the first, I would say, to breastfeed my kids. I want to say my best friend attempted to breastfeed her baby, but we were very young when that happened. And I wasn't even really super knowledgeable on it at the time to kind of be an advocate for her or, be a resource for her. I wish that I was, but I didn't even have kids at the time myself. So I am the first one in my circle to breastfeed.
How do you find yourself educating others as it relates to, or what are some tips you would give other moms to be, or moms that may want to breastfeed?
I would just say to do your research. Research, knowledge is power always. Sorry, my little people are yelling at me. You guys
listen, don't be sorry. Look, this is live and this is what happened. So we got little people that's part of the podcast. Yeah. For whatever reason, they hollering for something. But go ahead. Yes. What are some tips?
But outside of that, obviously just researching it. I would say trust your body. I think so many women give up so quickly. Baby, shut the door. They give up so quickly because it doesn't work, because they have all of these stressors around them telling them that they're not enough, that the baby's not getting enough, that, it can be a lot, especially when you're a new mom, you're postpartum, you're recovering, your body is recovering from major trauma. There's a lot that goes into it. And so again, just trusting your body in that moment, and giving yourself grace, would be my two biggest tips. This is what you were built to do. This is what God created your body to do. And so trusting that process and just being as knowledgeable as you can on the process so that you know alternatives, so that you know ways that you can, increase your milk supply or understand when your baby is actually full versus, other standards when it comes to formula and things like that are really important.
Those are good tips. Those are really good tips. Thank you for that. So before we get ready to close, and Danielle, again, thank you for coming on and letting us honor you sharing your information and thank you for being a breastfeeding mama. Because we are serious about normalizing this thing in the Black community. Whatever we need to do. So if it's more, this is just August, right? But if it's coming back, having more conversations, right? Inviting other people, then that's what we're willing to do to help normalize breastfeeding and making sure that our community understand, like, this is, as Danielle said, right? What God has called us to do is natural. It's all about the milk. As y'all see the title, it's all about the milk that your child receives to help them grow, right? And to build that connection with you and your child. And although men have a part of it as well, right? And that's the support. And whatever the support looks like, right? And so just normalizing this information within our community and to help the generations that did formula feed their children, right? Because they have a different outlook on things. And so as we are evolving and growing and becoming more aware of and doing things a lot differently than what our parents did, right? And so we have to bring them along and educate them as well, but we can't do it alone, right? And so it's about just having conversations and showing the purpose of what we're doing and the purpose of breastfeeding and why it's really important. And so before we get ready to close, Melissa, I want to toss it back over to you so you can share events that may be going on within Ohio, or in this case, that specifically Montgomery County, since that's the county that you are in. And if you know of any other events, but can you talk about some events that will be going on, especially during Black Breastfeeding Week?
Well, before I get to that, I want to mention that the theme for 2024 National
Oh,
Breastfeeding is nourish, sustain, and thrive. It's like I'm that type of person. I remember reading it, but I have a hard time recalling things if I don't write it down and read it over and over again. But yeah, so that's there you have it. It's nourish, sustain, and thrive.
thank you
And
for that.
yeah, you're welcome. And breastfeeding definitely does all three of those things. Um, and then I also want to say, when it comes to breastfeeding, especially when I talk about Black Breastfeeding Week and everything, and we do, like you talked about, the representation and correlation there, as far as like in the field and everything. But I will say this: as a Black mother, if I had sat around and waited for a Black woman to help me with breastfeeding, or to inspire me or encourage me, I would not have been breastfeeding. It just wasn't going to happen. So I had to gather, or I had to embrace the support. Oh, hi, baby. I had to embrace the support system that I had. And so for me, it was older white women. And I will forever appreciate them. They treated me with dignity and respect. I feel comfortable. It was a safe, they created a safe space for me, and they helped me to be successful with breastfeeding over and over and over again until I became a professional. And because of all my breastfeeding experience and all my lactation knowledge and expertise, able to of course help myself after a while. But I just wanted to say that if the person makes you feel safe, because sometimes it can be a struggle thinking like, who do we trust? Who's going to treat? I mean, because some mothers, I mean, I can say over the years they have not been treated equally and fairly, even getting help with breastfeeding. They have been dismissed or assumed that they didn't want to breastfeed. But then you have some, the ones that I've had, that truly want to help. So they are out there. So as long as you feel safe and they're treating you with dignity and respect, and they're willing to support your journey, let them help you, because in a lot of cases, because of our disparities, you might not have you might not get help from you might not have that person to help you.
That's good
Um,
information.
Yes, we do have a coalition, the Black Breastfeeding Coalition of Ohio, that I'm the executive director of, and all our four staff members, we are all lactation professionals, and we are all Black mothers, and we've all successfully breastfed, had our challenges along the way. Some of us may not breastfeed as long as we wanted to, but we're here to help. And the fourth person that we have, she just had a baby, and she didn't ask for it. I haven't heard from her about help with breastfeeding. She knew exactly what to do. She figured it out. Didn't need me at all. I was surprised, like not one question. So we all are willing to help. And if for some reason we can't, due to like schedule things or whatever the case may be, we can refer you to someone that can help you, whether it be Black or white, that we know that will be like a person that you can trust who will treat you with dignity and respect. So I do want to mention that. I did want to mention that we do have some things going on in Montgomery County. We have something actually coming up this weekend. Disney's Maternity is having a it's like a maternity show. She's going to have mothers walking the runway. She's a doula, and she definitely is an advocate of breastfeeding. And she's I'm going to go to her this thing she sent us. Definitely someone that is there, that really supports mothers and babies. She's an experienced Black breastfeeding mother, and she has the event going on from 1 to 5. And Tamekia, I sent you the flyer if you want to share that. It's going to be at the let me see, 4,000 Lake Center Drive. There's like a huge, like a place in Trotwood, like Trotwood, like a center in Trotwood. Um, and let me see. As a matter of fact, I can tell you the place real quick here.
What's the date?
It's going to be this Saturday.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so this Saturday, that's going to be going on, and they're going to have vendors and just people there that support breastfeeding mothers. I want to say that she was still looking for someone to walk the runway that has that's pregnant, 5 months or more pregnant. But demos and giveaways, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll be there as a vendor. If you want to stop by our table and gather some information that we have going on. We're gonna have another event. Public Health is gonna have that one, and that there's a flyer that I also sent about that one. And let's see here. Their event is on the 24th, and just trying to keep all these events together here. Um, let me see here. The 24th, I want to make sure I had the time correctly. It's earlier in the day, and that's going to be 11 to 1:30. That's going to be a Dayton Metro Library, the West Branch on Abbey Avenue. It's really trying to reach out to that particular, demographic. And so, and this one is really nice. I mean, they'll provide free bus passes if you can't get there. They're going to have a brunch. They are going to have giveaways. Just a lot of fun things planned. $100 Carmel's Day Spa gift cards to the first 25 attendees. And so there's a flyer that Tamekia, that you have, where they can actually scan that. They can go to the public health website, public health data Montgomery County website, and they can find that information there too, and scan the QR code and register for that event. And then we're gonna, as far as I know, our organization is going to be the last ones to have an event, and it's going to be actually the very next day. And we're having our event at Dionese Studios. Dionese, or Drea, the same one that's doing the event this Saturday. She's a professional photographer, and we are going to have photography where she's going to do like I won't say shoots, but she's going to take pictures of breastfeeding families, pregnant families. If that's something you're interested in, look cute, dress cute, come and take pictures. If you're a nursing mother that's never, I know some mothers that have never taken a breastfeeding picture. Come take a breastfeeding picture of your baby. Danielle has a beautiful family that she can bring if she's available that day, and that's going to be from 3 to 6 p.m. on Sunday. We're also going to have someone, but we want the mothers to black. So first come first, well, first register, first serve. We're going to have hopefully someone doing facials. We're going to for sure have pedicures. We're going to have, it's called Express Pedicure. We're going to have someone doing massages. And then we also have some other things just planned. And we would love for mothers just to come and just embrace that time together, just feel honored that they're breastfeeding. And also, if they want to share, like Danielle just shared her journey, just sharing that information there. We also had a proclamation signed by the mayor again this year. He signed it last year for Black Breastfeeding Week. And we had that signed again for this year. We're not for sure who's going to come yet, but we did have that proclamation signed for Black Breastfeeding Week. And so we'll have vendors as well. And also we'll have fun for the kids, fun things for the kids to do. So the kids will also feel included. And I do have someone that's coming from a program where he works with fathers. And so it's something for a little bit of everybody.
Nice. So all of these events that Melissa mentioned, I will pin them on the Facebook page, Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia. So, and all of these events are happening in Montgomery County. And so I do want to invite those who are watching the podcast or watching this episode that if you are in a different county within Ohio, or if you are a different city and state, and you know of events that supports Breastfeeding Month, Black Breastfeeding Week, make sure that you share that information, push it out into your communities, right? So we cannot do this work alone. If you have information, share it with moms, share it with moms to be. Right now, we are just sharing information that's within our area, which is Ohio, Montgomery County. But as I said, if you have other information, if you're in other counties, cities, and states, feel free to share that information, push it out into your communities. If you want to tag my Facebook page, I'll be happy to also pin your events to the social media page as we continue to celebrate this month of Breastfeeding Month, right? So, ladies, we are getting ready to wrap up. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and helping getting this information out. Melissa, thank you for everything that you do in the field. Danielle, thank you for everything you do. I see your little boys. Listen, everybody, we are live, okay? And so things happen when you are live and you just keep on going, you keep on pushing. And as you see, Danielle's little babies was joining us for the episode, and she gracefully handled them in mama style. Like, you know what? I'm gonna keep smiling. I'm gonna just let y'all be. Thank you so much for joining in for today. Before we close, I do want to say this. If you don't remember anything else, continue to grow daily, become better versions of yourself each day, and remember to move in faith over fear. Be sure to stay connected with me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Happy Hour Conversations with Tamekia. I am your girl, and we will catch you all next week. Peace.